And so I think when you have the coach, they put it in context for you. And it also is the learning curve, which is massively changed, assuming you have somebody good with your best interest that is doing the right thing and the right activity for you.
Real Estate Investing Profits presents Profit Masters with your host, world-renowned real estate coach and investor, Corey Boatwright. Now, strap in and get ready to learn elite wealth-building investment strategies taught by 6- and 7-figure house flipping masters as they reveal their best real estate investing profit secrets to you right now.
What is up? What is up? What is up, howdy people? This is Corey Boatwright. I am your host of Real Estate Investing Profit Masters and the founder of Real Estate Investing Profits. And today we have another incredible interview for you. We continue to bring those to you. And this one is really cool because it's actually with another guy, another mastermind member, that we have started another podcast that is all about books. And you'll be hearing more about that later. But I want to talk to you about Mr. Nathan Brooks. All right. He is the CEO for Bridge Turnkey Investments. And that company is pretty incredible because what they're doing right now is literally hundreds of turnkey rental properties, and they have a machine that is set up. Now, what's different about what they're doing, okay, is they have kind of this setup where the standard is excellent, okay? The standard is excellent. So you can't just throw something on there and that's good enough. No, that does not work for their company, okay? They have some high standards on what they do at Bridge Turnkey Investments. And they are located out there in Kansas City, Missouri. Okay. So they are crushing it out there. You're going to hear what he does and what is their company is all about and how they put the focus and emphasis on excellence and on the team. Not just one person, but the team. And what I love about Nathan is he's so inspiring, right? But he's also like this natural, cool person that just like has everything put together so well. Like he's just got everything down so well. And, it just flows effortlessly out of him, right? So you're going to love this. You're going to love this interview. And then later on, I can't wait for you to check out another podcast that we'll be releasing very, very soon. I got to keep quiet about it right now, but it's coming up very soon. So, you'll hear about it. All right. So make sure that you check this out. All right. Have you downloaded the Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide? Have you? Huh? If you haven't, go ahead and text the word profit to 38470. That's text the word profit to 38470. Okay. And then from there, you'll have the book auto magically downloaded right to you. Okay. I'd love to hear your feedback on the book. We're working on a revised 2.0 version, if you will, of that book. And I'll let you know when that is out very, very soon too. Now we have folks that ask us about coaching, right? Wholesale coaching particularly. And if you're interested in coaching, you can simply go to Corey's Coaching, CORYS coaching.com. Watch a video right there on that page, and that will tell me whether, where you are in your vesting. Have you never done your first deal? Which is about 90% of the folks that get on and listen. They've never done their first deal, which is fine. I remember when I was at the place where I never done my first deal. And that was a big deal, right? It was a big thing to make sure, I cross over that big fear. There's a lot of fears involved in doing your first deal. I want to talk with you about where you are in your career. Have you done 5 or 10 deals? Are you doing 10, 20, 30, 100 deals? Where are you? And what specifically do you want to accomplish over the next 6 to 12 months? We can help you get there, but we need to have a conversation. It's called a strategy coaching session. Love to talk with you about it. I have a video recorded for you right on the front page. Go to coryscoaching.com. All right. Now check out this interview with Nathan. I think you're going to really enjoy it and what they're doing there with Bridge Turnkey. It's pretty incredible in Kansas City, Missouri. All right. Here you go. Here's Nathan Brooks. Nathan, what's going on, my man?
What's up, Corey? Nice to be on here with you, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time to be on here, man. This is awesome. So I feel like kind of like a celebrity that's on here right now, man. You are doing quite a bit of things, not only in your own right for investing, but you're also kind of a big name on Bigger Pockets and, some other places. I'd like to get into that a little bit, but before we go into that, why don't we talk about what is your kind of investing expertise right now, and then how you got involved in real estate investing?
Okay, great question. And thanks again for having me on too. So the main thing that we do is turnkey real estate here in the Kansas City market. And so we have a team that we buy, sell, and manage real estate. And so we do that for clients all over the U.S. And so we have the full acquisitions, construction, and property management side of that business.
That's all in-house?
All in-house. Yep, exactly. So, and then we really are focused on that, the higher end flips for those properties. So it's not just, kind of the paint and carpet kind of rehab. We're really going after a full scale rehab and that experience on the turnkey side for each client.
When you say higher end, Nathan, you mean, 150,000, 200,000. What's kind of your average rehab kind of finished project, if you will, your sales price?
Yeah. So we do, I think, the bottom really is like 80, 90,000, and our average really runs say 125 to 150, 160.
Got it.
So, and then we also have some that are even, 195 to 25 that sell turnkey.
Okay. And so right now you're doing everything inside of KC. You're not doing anything, outside other states?
Yeah, correct. So we don't have anything else in any other markets. We do. So Kansas City is a pretty good sized metropolitan area. So, if you called it, like for somebody who wasn't from Kansas City, I would say, I'm in Kansas City. So if you did know it, we're in Raytown and Independence and, Johnson County, we're in Kansas City, Kansas, we're up north. There's a lot of cool little markets and niches within that market. But, we're in that greater metropolitan area.
That's cool. So what made you want to be involved with real estate investing, Nathan?
I really liked doing construction stuff early on, even as a kid. So I loved, going around to construction sites and taking boards and 2x4s and stuff and building stuff in my backyard.
Right.
I'm not sure how much my parents love that, but what's he building now?
That's interesting, son.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really cool. What is it?
Right.
But from there, I always enjoyed the real estate side of it, whether it was the especially design. I really love layouts and colors and understanding that side of it. And so I had an opportunity just to jump into, actually I overheard a conversation, and next thing I know, of course, I'm chatting up the guy next to me and my wife, having lunch, and, 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm, in my first real estate deal.
Wow.
So yeah, not necessarily the best idea, Corey. I'm not saying that that's what people should do. It's just the truth of what did happen.
Okay, so what time frame is this? Give me some.
So this is 2008, I believe.
Wow. Okay. So really, you've been about almost not quite 10 years, but going on 10 years.
Yeah.
And what was one of your bigger influences for investing?
I rose and had the dumpster fire along with many people in the boom and bust of, the late 2000. Mm-hmm. And so one of the most impactful relationships was a investor. I lived in South Florida at the time, who had a property management business and had a flipping business and a property business. And at the time, I think he managed like 1,500 properties, doors under management. Yeah, so it's a pretty sizable operation. And he was a broker as well, or is a broker. And so I'd asked him, a dozen times to go to lunch, and couldn't understand then why he was so busy and couldn't fit me in the schedule. But I can more appreciate what he must deal with now. But so he sat down and we talked about his business, and I just asked, I'm sure, question after question, and he wrote out what his business looked like, in the sense of, here's opportunities for income. Here's my property management business. Here's my flipping business. Here's my private lending business. And here's how these things intertwine. And he owned rentals as well. And it wasn't like, I don't have one opportunity, Nathan. Maybe the brokerage this month doesn't do a whole, bunch of business, but I have rentals, or we hit a couple of big flips or whatever. So that really kind of opened my eyes to understand not just the real estate activity of, say, owning a rental or flipping a house, but really the experience of what a real estate investor's life looks like and opportunity looks like.
Okay. So then that kind of opened your ideas to multiple streams of income.
Yes.
Right. And then
yes.
So it's not just one way. So you can have a couple of different things to kind of fall back on, if you will. Okay. That makes sense. So was there a point before investing, that there's like what we call like a breaking point, where you were doing something else and then you just knew you had to go into this investing, because if you didn't, you weren't going to, kind of reach that place of where you aspire to go or get there faster, right? By obviously doing the investing. Did you have a breaking point?
I think I've had a couple, really.
Right.
And I think I was making my living as a musician at the time. And
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey,
which was wonderful, right?
Look over here, Nathan. I want you to look at all these guitars.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
See all these guitars.
That's amazing.
If you're listening now, you just missed this incredible show of over 17 different guitar cases all lined up here. Anyway, so I'm obviously a guitar player. Yeah. You're a musician. So I share. I love it. Obviously, being a musician is great, but and I get this question too. Like, how did you go from musician to investor? Right. Well, what is your story? How did you do that?
So I was just watching the opportunity happen, and right. I was teaching lessons and playing live and doing touring, and I had a lot of cool stuff. They played my song on the radio, and I still was watching the opportunity where I was just starting to understand what trading time for dollars meant, and really trying to find the opportunity of, say, doesn't mean I don't want to play music, doesn't mean I don't want to enjoy that thing that feeds my soul, but I also don't want to do it for $15 an hour or whatever it was that you get paid, or maybe you get, it was typically like beer was free, food maybe, and then you might get paid.
That's great. I think you just described all musicians.
Yeah, that's it.
The life of a musician. I think that was it, right in a nutshell.
Yeah, and when you're 20, that's pretty cool, or 21, should we say? But like, this is only sustainable for so long.
Right.
So, I just found myself trying to start to acquire properties, and so I was really trying to do everything, and I basically just continued doing some of my private lessons, and then I would start to try to flip these houses. And I'm an all-in kind of guy, which is great, except when it's not. And in that case, right. it was like, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was trying to buy them, and I was trying to flip them, and I was trying to manage, it was just a mess. So I went down, in flames with the whole crash, and lost, nearly $1 million worth of real estate. Jeez. Got back into music, back into worship leading, and found myself back eventually in Kansas City. I'm at a huge church, wonderful place, amazing people. It's the largest United Methodist church in the U.S. So it's like the dream gig, right?
Awesome.
But I found myself flipping 7 houses as the turn of Christmas came around. And, this is a church that has, 36,000 people through 4 campuses in 3 days or something.
It's incredible.
So
wow.
It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. So I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So, and then 3 months later, I'd quit my job. I made my entire annual salary that month from the previous year. And so I was like, let's go.
Let's go. I'm all in, right? That's what.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So we talk about what is kind of coined as the Profit Master investing strategy. That's one thing that's really impacted your bottom line. Usually a marketing strategy that's really, just knocking it out of the park for you. Do you have something that is working right now that you can share with the listeners that's really, doing well for you?
Yeah. And actually, this might be a little different answer than we typically get in that way. For me, what I came back from a mastermind group and had this epiphany moment in my business, which is I wasn't being the leader that I needed to be in the organization and doing all activities, but we weren't seeing the end result, what we were wanting. And there wasn't direct, leadership within the office. But in the ebook, they talk about abdicating leadership, or I can't remember specifically, but abdicating is the word. And so we really had this renaissance in our business. And over the last, say, 6 or 8 months, we've just consistently taken the time and effort to solve the biggest problem today. And for me personally, to take that opportunity to lead in my office. So we weren't seeing things coming out of the factory, whether the rehab wasn't completed on time or the property wasn't leased as fast as it should be. And so, when you talk about the profit side of that, you can't have the end result if you're not delivering the product,
Sure.
And so we came up with this motto in our business, which was on time, quality, and budget. And we had to deliver all those things. And so we started having the mantras in our office about what we are delivering these on time, quality, and budget. We're going to do everything, and we're going to stop everything, and we're going to, make sure that we can do that for every single one of our clients who's coming to us. And so the end result of doing the right thing, slowing down, was that, April, we had the best month in the history of our business. So we sold, I think, 8 or 9 properties just in the last 30 days.
Just in the last 30 days, yeah. And I know that you said that you had about 6 or 7 crews going, right?
Yeah,
and
correct.
You're focusing on heavy. So do you do much wholesaling, or do you do mostly rehabbing?
We do almost exclusively fix and flips. So we really don't even have a wholesale part of our business built out at this point.
Okay.
So we're literally in the midst of hiring somebody for the acquisition side as we speak.
That's gonna be exciting. That'll be a fun ride. Sure.
It's gonna be huge, and I'm fired up for it. Not only, I think a lot of times we'll probably just take them down ourselves, but we'll also have that avenue of, just another stream of income to our last point, right?
Right. Well, there's always that question of, should I wholesale it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should I hotel it, right?
Yep.
Or should I retail it? And the wholesale and hotel right now are pretty strong on the profits right now on this market.
Yeah.
Right. But with rehabbing, if you are an expert at that thing, right, which you are, man, I tell you, diverting much from that may not be the best idea, even though that there is other options to wholesale, to hotel. I think you have to probably get very specific on what that dollar amount is. That is
exactly
what the net profit is going to be from that rehab. And then, really look at, man, can I just wholesale it and get 80, 90% of that right now and not have to worry about all of the other one time, right? The juggling of everything else, all the other stuff. Or is it worth it, to take it down and make an extra money? I would think that number, I'll tell you right now, from the people that we work with that we wholesale to rehabbers, okay, they typically have a number where, if they can't make, it's usually like a 20, it's usually like, so we leave about, I would say we leave about 30% on meat on the bone, between 25 and 30% meat on the bone.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if that's the same way in KC or not, because over in California they leave 10% meat on the bone.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, it's a different market, but
right.
so it's fine. In New York, it's 10% on the bone, but in the Midwest here, I mean, it's 25, 30 cents on, and what we look at is if we're going to take a deal down, which we do on occasion, take a deal down, we have to look at, one, is it a hot area that's selling on the MLS very quickly? If it's a hot area selling on the MLS very quickly, then it's worth it to us to take it down to get an extra $10,000, $15,000 out of it, in a short period of time if it's a hot area. But most of the time, we get deals that are, need repair, need all these other things. And we've got these buyers already that want to buy them. They can buy them quick, get them done. So I would think on your side of it, there's probably going to be some thought on what is that profit, that net number that we're going to make from our rehabbing compared to if we just we're going to do this whole wholesaling thing.
Well, so I 100% agree with you that the second part for my personal question when I'm buying stuff is that I actually sell to two different clients. So I have the retail MLS client, and then I also have my turnkey clients. And so I don't do a waiting list anymore, but we have more buyers than we have inventory.
That's great.
So, and it's because, I always tell my clients, I'm like, I don't bat 1,000. I wish I did. But I'm transparent. You're going to know what's going on. We're going to do a great job. So, we've been able to build that over time. And so, when I'm buying properties, my first goal, although I love the MLS flips too, and, we do those regularly, probably 2-3 a month, but, I'd love to sell those turnkeys, and it might have a little bit smaller margin or whatever that deal is, but I also put it into property management, and then it does also have, it makes money there too.
Yeah, you got a profit margin for managing the property. And I would think too, also you're selling on cash flow, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's another big benefit that you can have by doing these turnkeys, selling on cash flow. So it's going to be interesting to see which ones that you just wholesale or if it's worth it just to rehab them and turnkey them.
Well, I couldn't agree more, and I'll look forward to updating you on it because we're fired up to see that, and we also have a very dialed in percentage that we're looking for on the return of the money that we're putting in. So it'll be interesting. The other cool part for me personally is thinking about, hey, we might even be able to pay a little bit more. So if there is that continuing tightening of an inventory, we can take those things down. I already have built-in construction, so I think we're positioned very well in our market for that.
You mentioning that, it actually makes me think of you having an advantage that you could actually pay wholesalers more money.
Absolutely.
Because of that, whatever your highest offer is, come to us. Wouldn't it be great if you positioned yourself that, whatever your highest offer is, Bob, that I know that does 5-10 deals a month, send it to me as your final offer, and then I'll see if I can give you $1,000 more or whatever. That would be pretty interesting to have that positioning in the market where you pay the most, but you're still able to make it work on your end too. So pretty cool.
Well, and the cool part for us too is that we built those relationships too because we haven't had that wholesaling side of our business. So, I might even pay less, but they know like, hey, if I've signed that contract, I'm closing on it.
You're closing on it, right?
So we're fast, we're cash, we close, there's no issues. We have people in our office who handle. I was a wholesaler just telling me yesterday, he's like, I want to close every deal with you because I know that your team's actually pushing the ball forward, not me. He's like, I'd love to just close them with you. So it's pretty cool.
That's great. That's cool. Okay. So basically there's a positioning that you have that's that's different than your traditional, obviously, wholesaler. So you have the turnkey, you have the rehab, and then adding this other component on for wholesaling will be interesting to see kind of how how that's going to serve you,
Exactly.
in what you're doing right now in the business. And ultimately, really, you want to help your clients, right? So you want to give them other opportunities. So that'll be great. What is a big challenge that you went through in your investing business? One that you maybe recently went through, if you have one to talk about, and how did you get through it so we can all learn from it?
Yeah. So I think that it's a wonderful question because it's right back to the conversation we just had, which was kind of that renaissance in our business. And so we really we struggled for several months just trying, as we had grown. Back to the E-Myth book, they talk about being in your infancy as a business, and so you go hire Bob or Jane or whoever it is, and you're like, hey, you're my new assistant, go do stuff. And then, oh, great job, Jane. Now you're the sales manager. Go sell some stuff, And so that works great until it doesn't. And so, we started to really recognize that we hadn't put those processes into place like a business, like a big business, even no matter how many people we have. And so I think the challenge for us was that we had a lot of areas, when you're buying them and you're managing, multiple rehabs, and then we have 24 some rehabs going right now in the Kansas City area, so you have to manage that. And then you have to manage the buy and sell side of them. And then you have the whole property management business by itself, which is, its own animal. So, we had to just literally start taking piece by piece. And we literally went through every single job description for every single staff person doing every single job. And we went back through, we sat down with each one of those people. We said, what are we missing? What are we not training? And we use Podio to run everything in our business. And I think the single greatest thing that we did was take the idea out of traction on the issues list. And we actually created an issues list app in Podio, so that our staff could say,
great idea.
I have an issue. I have an issue and I have nowhere to put it.
Here it is in Podio.
Yeah, you're like, Corey, that is such a great idea. Could you remind me via email and text and via telephone, like in 3 days?
Right? Oh my gosh.
I'm never going to remember in 2 hours.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Maybe. So it goes into Podio, and now you have a growing list of things you can check off the list. You can prioritize. Right.
Yes. And here's the best thing out of that was not only did we say, hey, you have to put your issue in, you have to label it low. I can't remember the language. I'll tell you after we're done, but basically priority. Like low, medium, high, and then, or urgent was our language. And then, so you have you have the problem, and then you require them to put in a proposed solution.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
it may not be the correct one that you use, but you want to hear what they're thinking.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. So it's not just, Corey, tell me what the problem is, but Corey, tell me what you're thinking about. Like, so you're running into this problem. Well, how would you solve it?
That's great.
Like, great. That makes perfect sense. So that really enabled us to have then in our property management meeting or our construction meeting or our sales and acquisitions meeting, then we can say, cool, let's pull up. We actually give specific time in that weekly meeting to the issues list itself. And so, and people just right now, don't try to do more than one or two of them.
Sure.
It's not going to happen because all of a sudden you'll have this conversation 30 minutes later. You're like, oh man, I think we got it. But it takes some time to work through what the actual challenge is in a solution.
Sure. That makes sense.
And then be able to implement it into your business too. So you can solve 10 things, but you're never going to implement them all.
Right. Well, just because it's in Podio though, right? So now there's a conversation that started, and it's not just, maybe that's just totally you. Now it's everyone does everyone kind of have the access to see?
Yep. Absolutely.
So there's a full transparency model.
Absolutely. Yep. That's and it's great. Done by department too. So you could just pull everything in that department and say, hey, is there already an issue on this? Now you don't have duplicating it, whatever.
I'm gonna write that down. Put these in the show notes. Great ideas here Thanks for sharing that, Nathan. That's going to be very, very powerful. One that I'm going to definitely talk to our team about because that's great. I love that idea. Traction is an incredible book. EOS, The Rocks. If you haven't got a chance to go through what Nathan's talking about here, I highly recommend you read the book Traction. Just a fantastic book, a great way to run a team, either big or small. So it's a fantastic learning tool, fantastic management tool. And
two things on that. Sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
That number one, I got to give props to my business partner David, who came up with the idea for Podio, because we kept solving problems and then we would solve them again, and it was horrendous, right?
Right.
And then the second thing, to Traction, I think it's a game changer. Between that book and E-Myth, I think they both, helped feed that. And Traction, like you said, it's great for big and small organizations. And it's also great to think about what your actual goals are and priority is, and then actually align it with what your activity is. So I love that.
That's great. Yeah. What's a great lesson that you've learned to get to where you are today? Because here's what's interesting about you, Nathan, from, we haven't known each other that long, obviously inside one of the same mastermind groups, Collected Genius. And, what struck me about you is that you have almost this intense calm, if that makes sense. Like, there's something that, I haven't heard all your story, but I almost don't need to understand that you're at a place where you've really got to a place where you almost have this calmness about you. So it's a chill, it's cool, but I can also tell there's this intensity and very specific, what is it?
Specified.
It's hard, yeah,
specificity.
Yes, that's it. Right. Say that word 5 times. So so specified on what it is you want to accomplish, pretty organized, as most musicians tend not to be. In fact, you and I probably share a lot of the same. I'm a visionary. You're a visionary. If I can play the integrator role, I can do it if I'm required to.
Yeah.
But I rather be the visionary. That's my fun part, right? And to me, it's almost like playing guitar, playing jazz, or just playing like a blues thing where it's not, where you're not just playing some super great scale, but it's just this feel of what's going on, right? And you strike me as applying some of that for the musicians right now. They're like, oh yeah, man, I get it. For the people that aren't musicians, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. But you strike me as that kind of person. And so, what's a lesson to help you get to where you are today? Can you encourage somebody with that?
Absolutely. And by the way, when you post your disc profile online, I'm pretty sure ours were basically identical. It's like D99, I99.
Right. Yes. Perfect. That's awesome.
So which is also a fundamental tool in our business too, by the way. So we use those all the time.
Disc and the Kobe.
Yeah, exactly. So I've totally lost track of your question though, Corey.
So the lesson to get to where you are, that's the musician in you right there.
That's right.
That's the musician in you.
Well, you're saying so many kind things to me. So I think the lesson honestly is, it's really simple. And it is the decision to actually make a choice, and then to live in the choice, explore the choice, educate on the choice, continue to fall in love with it. And so for us, we had to stop saying yes, or start saying no, so we could say yes to the one thing instead of, yes to everything. And so that for us, as we started to learn, and my partner and I he's been very helpful in that, and me as well, and just kind of saying, okay, we're going to be in the flipping business. We are going to have the best properties you can buy, period. We're going to have the best in the turnkey space, MLS space. I don't care what space, what price point. Like, you will not find a better house, and I will work ceaselessly until I deliver that. And if I screw something up, I'm going to figure out what and why and how, and I'm going to solve it. And so, I think a lot of times people get into the real estate space, and not that I don't have all those tools in my toolbox with the wholesaler and the property management, and and you'd probably say the same thing. Hey, I have all those tools, but I had to make one choice on one deal, doing one thing. And so for us, it was make a choice to be a great flipper of properties, be a great renovator. So, what does that mean? Well, we have selection sheets for every project. It means we have timelines and budgets that are tight. It means we have people who are looking at what that actually, the deliverable actually looks like. And then we're able to, really fundamentally change the way that we run that business because we made the choice on the front end.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Sure. So setting that standard is so important in the beginning from an organizational standpoint, especially when it's not just about you. It's an organization. Now you got families that depend on the company. Now you've got, reputation. Who are you? What do you stand for? These things become more important whenever you're doing. You have 7 crews and you're putting out, this many properties, and people know you by name. Of the company and what you stand for, and they're telling everybody. Then the referral business becomes so much easier, right? It's almost like you don't even have to ask for it because it asks for itself, because the quality is exceptional. The people in the organization match that quality, and it's just, there's this whole standard, of what you stand for. I think that's great.
Yeah. Well, and actually this is so, I love this conversation because it keeps tying together. But one of the things from that Traction book was us to decide, what are your core values as a business?
Sure.
And then we can look through everything, is that how we rehab? Is that a part of our core value? Is this person right on staff? Are they in line with the core values? And then we just did our first company-wide quarterly reviews. And it's the same thing. You have to look at those core values and say, are we in alignment? And if not, why? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and sometimes those conversations can be uncomfortable, but they're much more uncomfortable without having organization. The funny thing is that organization will set you free. And people often think organization will captivate you, will enslave you, will kind of create this way where you're in a box and you cannot really, you can't grow the way you want to. You have strict, all these you have these different things, and that's the reality. Is it's much harder, and it's harder to be able to run something disorganized. Yeah, and And to your point, you can say, hey, Corey, I really don't like the way that you send these emails because I think your grammar is stupid. Or, hey, Corey, one of our core values is approach every relationship with love and care. And could you tell me what you were thinking when you constructed this email? Because when I look through that lens, I'm having a hard time understanding where you're coming from. Yeah, that's a way different positioning.
Way different position. And you're telling your story too. And you can coach from that instead of like, hey, Nathan, you're being a jerk. Oh no, this is what we came in here for. This is what we are about as a company and our culture. And we can deliver that. And this is why.
It's great. I'm making a note of that. I do some coaching with investors right now. And one of the things that just kind of hit me is that it'd be interesting for the conversation to start out what their core values are, because being able to coach through that would actually be able to reference what you just said. That really makes a lot of sense. So I appreciate you saying that. That's great. Do you have a like a favorite motivational quote or a business quote, something like that?
I do. I love this quote, and I actually wrote it at the top of our board in our property management room, and I wrote it down just because I thought maybe this would come up, and I didn't want to screw it up. So it's Jerry Rice, and today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't.
Ooh, that's rich. That's good.
I personal train with a fighter twice a week. So he's a professional trainer, but he's an actual fighter as well, and he actually has a pro fight on Friday too. So It's shout out to Trey.
That's awesome.
He's a good dude.
So that raises your level of intensity, or does it raise your level of standard for yourself, being professionally trained?
It is a requirement for equilibrium for me to have something that matches my intensity level as a human being, that also is very humbling and requires a new skill, whether it's jujitsu, which I'm, or kickboxing, which I just started doing. And, so I need it. It's just kind of that thing. If I don't get in the gym, I'm not a pleasant human being to be around.
So you take it out on the bags. You take it out on the bag. Right. Yeah.
But one of the interesting things we talked about, and I'm pretty sure it came out of my mouth, but he and I talk about it all the time, which is how much into the uncomfortable bucket are you willing to go? And so it's like in the suffering side of that, are you actually, so you can apply that to literally anything. The conversation with your employee. Are you willing to have the uncomfortable conversation now so that you're not dealing with it in 6 months with an employee that's now completely out of control? Or am I willing to go today and work out for a straight hour and a half with a pro fighter who is screaming things at me, and I'm screwing stuff up and I'm learning new techniques, boxing or whatever it is. And if I miss, I'm getting whapped in the side, with the training mitts. And it's uncomfortable because it's not a place I can work up a deal in 60 seconds. No big deal. Somebody swinging punches at you, and it's slow, by the way, and not that hard, and I'm still getting hit,
Sure.
So I think you can apply that to anything. And you can say, what are the lessons learned? Am I putting myself in a situation I have to learn? So
if not, obviously you're going to get hit, right? So you got to cover up. You got to learn what to do.
Yeah.
Great. I can see definitely where the lessons could come from. That if you had to start all over again, what would you do differently, or what's some advice you give somebody new?
I honestly think it starts back with that. What's my one thing? And I think if you can say, this is my one thing, and you have direction and ambition, you can connect the activity with the goal.
Sure.
And I think when you connect the activity with the goal, now you start to understand really, when you woke up on a Tuesday and you're sad, or it's raining outside, or you're, the deal that you thought was going to happen falls apart, your whole world doesn't fall apart, and your dream doesn't fall apart because your decision wasn't based on that one day. It was based upon the goal that you had set forth to do it. Right. And so, even back to the lessons learned, it's you have to take one thing at a time. You have to compartmentalize. If wholesaling is the thing I really want to do, I have to do this one thing. And I have to do it over and over and over and over, and understand what really means, not just to do a couple deals, but, my goal is to do X deals per week, per month, per year. Right. My why is this. And if you start with that end goal in mind, it's so much easier to make it through the times when it is in that uncomfortable bucket, or, that your deal did fall apart, or you didn't make as much money. Go ahead.
I'm taking some notes here. So, and again, everything we talk about here, everything will be in our show notes. We'll have this transcribed for you, as we always do. But you're bringing up some great points. I love the fact that the one thing was the first thing you brought up, say you would do differently, meaning that, as you get going as an entrepreneur, you get hit by 55,000 different things. Mm-hmm. And there's this real, and I'm struggling on this myself. There's this very similar kind of idea that whenever I'm productive, that I also think that that's being intentional. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Whenever you're intentional, right? You're productive, but often you're less productive, right? Because you're intentional on one thing and not necessarily getting 45 different things done, but the 45 things that need to get that you think need to get done often don't. And in fact,
exactly,
either they do need to get done and you don't need to be, I don't need to be, or you don't need to be the one doing them, right? So there's no idea of, you know, what I'm supposed to be doing, my strength, or they don't need to be done at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So can you speak a little bit more on that? I really like that your concept of just the one thing, and that was the first thing you talked about, how you do things differently.
Yeah, well, so it can work when you're very first starting out, and then it can also work if you're doing 100 deals a year. So we still have a one thing. It's just different. Mm-hmm. So for me, my one thing now, like, so for instance, I just said, you know, hey, we're hiring an acquisitions guy. So my one focus right now is to find the right guy or girl. You know, find the right person for the job. And so we dissect what that looks like. We dissect what their disc looks like. We dissect what kind of person fits in the culture for our business. And our one thing is to have the right hire. So, you know, I think when people look at that, it becomes this terrifying obstacle versus this incredible opportunity to make a decision. You like, decide. Right now, I know what I'm going to do, and everything else doesn't matter. So I think it's important. They can apply it no matter what.
Right. So using data to make a decision, right? Instead of just throw, you know, off the cuff. Basically, that's the moral of what we're really discussing here.
Yep.
Do you have a book that really changed? You talked about E-Myth. You talked about Traction. Do you have one that's really changed your life? Obviously. You know, I know there's so many excellent books. How do you name just one? But what's one that's really dramatically affected you?
You know, those were the two I was going to mention. So I'm pulling up my phone with my Audible account, and I think you do a bunch of books each month too.
Yeah, right? I read a book a week I listened to a book a week for the last 3 years on Audible, and I mean I can show you my curve. You know, if you go on the Audible curve, but and yeah, I love.
47 times speed or something you listen to the books at?
55, but who's counting? 55, but you know, who's counting here, right? Well, you know, the funny thing is that you actually retain more the faster you listen to it. So I can show you my list right now. So I don't know if you can see this on here. Do you see this? This one I'm reading right now is The Art of Learning. Oh my gosh. By Josh Waitzkin. And that has nothing to do with real estate. But
he's a jiu-jitsu guy too, by the way.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's also a chess champion. I mean, the guy has an incredible background story. You know, but I mean, I got How to Read a Book. It's funny. You can get a book on how to read a book, you know, and it's by Charles Van Doren. It's really, really good. Organize Tomorrow, Today. You have to get that book. Sean Terry recommended that one.
Organize.
Pretty much anything that Sean recommends, I just buy immediately. He'll just text, "Hey, you get this," and I send him back the receipt thing that I bought it.
I love it. I love the accountability too.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, Organize Tomorrow, Today. That is it says Organize Tomorrow to 8 ways to retrain your mind to optimize performance at work and in life by Dr. Jason Selk and Tom Bartlett with Matthew Rudy. Start every day with more focus, confidence, and energy by learning to set the right priorities. Basically, everything that we just discussed. Another thing that I was just on another podcast with Joe Taylor in our group as well in Portland.
Yep.
And he mentioned that there's a book that I wrote down called Mindset, and it talked about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And it was fascinating, some of the things he talked about. But what hit me was I should be going through that book with our team. We should be talking about going through those books. Remember in church, like with the men's group, you would pick a book and you know, you go through that with your team, with your men's accountability group, and you would discuss. And it's funny because you should be thinking about, you know, with books that are going to empower your team and help your team out in the way you think. And because if your team thinks in a better way, right, that's growth, you know, centric, and you're looking at things not just in a fixed way, but they're not that it's just a permanence, but a challenge. Like I don't like looking at things as a problem, Nathan. I look at things as a challenge, right? Because the challenge, you can be challenge driven, right? It can actually, how can I solve it? And there's something that comes from it. A problem, there tends to be this kind of like bowling ball in your head that's like, it's just heavy and it doesn't really do much. So just changing that way that you think, right? It's powerful. But I love Audible. So you listen to a lot of Audible, and which one do you have on there?
Well, so this is awesome. I think we could go like 3 hours and I'd still be.
Oh man. We could scroll. We could scroll, baby. We
could just keep going, baby. We just need to start a book podcast, Corey.
We do.
So I try to do 2 to 3 books a month as well.
That's awesome.
I only listen at half crazy speed. I think it's like 27 times speed, not 55 or whatever it is you do. And actually, by the way, we started an Audible account for our property management division, and we started one for our construction division. And so if there is a book that we're fired up about, I can literally say, hey, I already bought it. I just listened to it. This is why.
That is so genius. That is so good, man. That is great. I'll write that down. That's
so
awesome.
Thank you.
It's a separate account. Separate account than yours. It's like a company account.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great.
So the book that I just listened to, it's super short, by the way, too. So it's The Coaching Habit, Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever. Have you read that book?
Yep. I got The Coaching Habit. Yep, sure do.
And I love the best one out of that was instead of why, say what in a question.
Yeah.
So that was the learning for me in that. And
this right here, this one.
That's the one.
That's it, buddy. Yep. Yeah, Coactive Coaching was really, really good as well. And coaching salespeople into Sales Champions by Keith Rosen is really, really good. You like a lot of sales books. I do too. I like a lot of sales books. That was good. That Coaching Habit was really, really good.
I love that. And it's so short too. So you can, I'm actually listening to it for the second time in like 3 weeks just to do it again. But the other one I listened to recently was The Snowball, the Warren Buffett, what is it? The Warren Buffett and the Business of Life.
Oh, I don't have that.
Called The Snowball.
The Snowball. Okay, that's cool.
Just a warning, it's like 36 hours of regular speed time.
The longest one that I went through was Tony Robbins, the Money Master.
Money Master Game. One? Yeah.
That was on double the speed. It was over 12 hours on double the speed.
Yeah.
So that one was pretty lengthy. And the book is like that thick. If you ever order, it's like.
I've actually read that one with the book. I love those. Yeah. A lot of times I'll actually get the book as well if it's something that has a lot of that detail like that.
Yeah, I did that with Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Body. It's like a thick book. It's a great table read book.
I got that one too, man.
Some things in there you got to watch out if you have kids in there. You got to watch out for some of the things that he writes about. It's a little extreme. All right. That's right. What about some mobile apps, right? Are you more of a techie guy? You like mobile apps? So which one of your favorite apps that you use in your business on a daily basis?
Man, I mean, Podio is just a massive, massive game changer in our business.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm trying to think, I really am lucky enough to be at a place in my business where I'm not great with handling the detail side of things.
Sure.
So the apps have been less influential for me and more influential for other people in my organization.
That's great.
So, but really Podio systematically and dramatically changed the fundamental operation of our business.
That's great, man. So do you get 8 hours of sleep at night?
No, I do not.
How much?
I'm probably in regularly 5 to 6 hours a night. Do you?
You know what? I can. But the funny thing is I often choose not to, as that's funny. So I can, like sometimes I will like on a Saturday or something, we're rolling, I'll sleep for like 9 hours, because I can. But if you give me the preference, the funny part is I tend to sleep about 6.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that 3 hour rim, like that 3 hour and that 3 hour, and I get up. If I sleep like 7 or 8, I tend to be like in this weird in between space a lot of times. So, I usually prefer to sleep about 6 hours, but if I want to sleep longer, it's great to have the option, so, but I find myself just kind of about 6 to 6.5.
And what time do you get up in the morning?
I go to the gym. So this changes, but right now I'm going to the gym. I get up at 6:05 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I get to the gym by 7, and I work out from 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock with my trainer. And then I come home, and then I have breakfast and spend quiet time and kind of about 20 minutes or so with Leslie. She has the salon. She goes to the salon. And then I go into the office, kind of home office, if you will.
Right.
And then I start kind of getting into whatever I want to get into. I usually I do my best to read the Bible, or I go through something called with YouVersion to go through some scriptures and things like that to kind of get my head centered. I also, on my drive from the house to the gym, also do some praying and stuff like that, listening to praise and worship music. It kind of get my mind in a right state, just kind of being thankful for waking up and having an ability to enjoy the day. Not even know what the day is going to bring, Nathan, but just being open to enjoying the day. Whatever happens. If I, sometimes I see somebody on the road that's homeless sometimes, and I'll give them a grateful bracelet, because I have a whole bunch of them that I always keep in my car, and I'll just say, man, I want you to know God loves you. And I got cancer one time, but I got through it, and it wasn't because anything I did, it's because of all of God. And I give them a bracelet. And, something like that just kind of sets the tone, if that happens or whatever, for the day. But, and then business usually starts around like 10 o'clock, 10 in the morning, 9 to 10 in the morning is when usually business kind of starts going in. I start getting into business stuff, making calls, doing stuff, coaching usually starts at 10, stuff like that. Our Monday morning meetings is our team meetings, with which are, our rocks and our EOS kind of deal. So we have 2 of those. We have one with the team internally with the sales acquisition managers and then my 2 partners. And then we have a separate meeting for another hour that is essentially, from 8 o'clock in the morning till 12 and on Monday. It's all basically ate up with meetings and going through what we're going to do for the day and what the big rocks are and what's the thing that can push the needle forward for the week. So that's kind of how it looks. That's
an awesome start to the week too. And actually, to your app question, I also, I'm not as consistent as I'd like to be, but with a meditation app as well, I didn't really like some of the other ones as much with like the voices and stuff, but there's one called Rest and Relax under the meditation kind of, and so it really helped me in getting to sleep. Because a lot of times I would just couldn't shut my brain down.
There's one called Headspace. Have you ever used Headspace?
Yes, I tried Headspace, and I much preferred.
You didn't like it as much because it was more words and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I haven't heard of that one that you said. Is it newer?
It is pretty newer, and actually another one of our CG buddies also I had downloaded this as well, and he thought it was awesome. And that whole kind of winding down to your day, it's I know a lot of people, they can get fired up about a lot of stuff, but maybe they have a hard time getting back to sleep. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that's cool. So there's a fun little thing that I can do to kind of stress these stresses called Fit Brain. Do you ever use Fit Brain or anything like that?
Nope.
So it's by Rosetta Stone, and it's just all these different scientific ways to improve your brain. So they give you like little visual things that you can do and kind of memory things you can do, and it's just great stimuli. And so that one's one that I also will sometimes use just to kind of, I don't know, it just seems like it's a snack for your brain, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Do you have a morning routine that you actually follow?
I'm pretty consistent with, I'm typically up around 6 as well. Not quite so specific at 6:05, but
I like specifics, man. It helps me whenever that 5 comes around. I don't know if it's because I don't know what it is. I like specifics.
I love it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm 6-ish. And so I'm up. I love the Miracle Morning book. I love
that's great. Yeah.
Taking my time. So I'll just roll directly in, jump in the shower, brush my teeth, have my clothes on. I'm feeling good. I don't have my clothes on until my watch is on. And so I just love feeling put together. So run downstairs, cup of coffee, and go through, think through my goals, whether it's my team, my personal. So I have 3. I have 1 for my family, 1 for me personally, 1 for my business. And so I really try to visualize and feel it, feel that opportunity, and feel the joy of what it is to do the work. And then I play probably 10 to 20 minutes of fetch with my dog Gunner. And
that's great.
He is a cool German short hair pointer who will soon be in the fields of Western Kansas bird hunting with me.
Nice.
He's a machine. And then my wife is amazing and kind, and basically hooks up the breakfast every single morning. And so I'll hang with the kids, bang out some deals by 8:30, and then I'm out the door by say 9.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
That's my morning.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Leslie takes the kids to school. Usually she gets up around 6 as well. So whenever I get up, I go to the gym. She takes the kids to school. So, so when I get back, she's usually back and getting ready and stuff. And that's me too. I get ready and stuff. So it's great. But one thing I recently done that I want to encourage you about is, like in the shower, I don't know if it's like in the shower, I tend to be thinking about things to do. Like I just, there's something about water that is a representation of your mind. So a lot of people, when they say what's paradise to them, they tend to say a desert island or something with water or ocean, because it's some representation of just how the mind flows and just thinks. And it's pretty fascinating to dig deeper into that. We won't go into it now, but there's stimuli that is from past and different things that happened in your life. And usually when the first time you've ever swam, how it feels and all these other things, really interesting. So, but what I do now is, and again, this is an encouragement. If you're in the shower and you're like thinking, like I was thinking of stuff to do. Like I need to think of things to do. And it's almost just like a time where it's like, you can just think of things to do. But instead, now what I do is I just go, wow, how incredible is it to enjoy the shower? Does that make sense? Like
I love that.
This shower is just so magical right now. I know it sounds kind of corny, but it's just like, man, I mean, this is just to feel the water, to feel everything, and just almost just kind of in this moment of glory. It's very strange, like just feeling that just how incredible is it just to enjoy a nice, whether it's a cold shower or a really hot shower, and enjoying that moment and not letting that moment be robbed of the other stuff that you need to get done, because that's what your mind kind of wants to do. It wants to be like, okay, now that we're in here, now we can start thinking of stuff to do. No, it's like that's a moment of your tranquility, of almost your essence moment, of where you can just kind of become this one with you and your Creator and God, and just say, man, I'm just so thankful to enjoy this shower. I know it sounds strange, but if by doing this, it is really given you, almost makes you smile more through the day. It kind of gives you a reason to smile more if something's frustrating. Does that make sense?
Well, I think it's actually exactly what we've been talking about, because the one thing right there, you can't answer email in the shower, at least not currently, right. At least not very well.
Right. That's right. Not yet. Alexa, answer.
Yeah. Could you get my assistant on the phone? What does that sound? I'm in the shower.
Right.
So I think it's observing again the one thing, which is to be present with your own self. And so I love that. And I love that there's that actual saying, I will make a decision right now to enjoy this shower.
I love that. I love that.
I will make this decision to be present with my children. I will make this decision, and so I think that's a perfect way to start. I love that.
It is. It's practice to be present.
Yes, exactly.
That's good. It made me think of that. Well, what point would you recommend a coach? How important has it been to your success, would you say, Nathan?
I started kind of in a weird way. So I didn't really have a coach in the beginning of my real estate experience. However, I believe strongly that the coach and mentor is fundamental, and not just in the sense of paying a bunch of money to some guru or something like that. It might literally just be somebody in your market. It might be your folks. It might be your buddy. It might be saying, hey, Corey, I know you do a bunch of wholesale stuff. So could you talk me through this deal? Because even though I do a bunch of deals, I'm stuck on this one point. Because I think a lot of times people are fearful of what they don't know. And this brings somebody into the construct that says, this is a normal thing. Like, so just like back to the jujitsu or kickboxing, like the first time somebody throws a punch at you, which is still where I'm at, you're like, don't punch me. But if you are accustomed to that, hey, I can dip and move. I can do whatever I need to do to have the language that you already speak. And so I think when you have the coach, they put it in context for you. And it also is the learning curve, which is massively changed, assuming you have somebody good with your best interest that is doing the right thing and the right activity for you. And so I just recently had first couple of students myself, and my whole context for them was just to say back to, what is the thing that you want? And so I think it's fundamental for people to take that on, make that commitment. And even like our mastermind, right? So it's in a little different way, but we get coaching from all kinds of different people because they have that same interest to help, and they also have that same skill to be able to help. So I think at the very beginning, whether it's literally just hanging out at the local RIA meeting or you hire somebody like the Corys of the world you're an amazing coach, an amazing thinker in that space. And I think people should take it seriously. If they're going to put that time into it, they should have the best education, the best skills. And also, it's going to cut that amount of time in the mistakes down a lot. You're still going to screw stuff up, right? But, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so kind of almost a shortcut, if you will, to get what you want tend to be a lot faster. What are you most grateful for, Nathan?
Whew. What am I most grateful for? Man, I'm grateful, truthfully, to be on the planet, be born in the United States, have a wonderful family.
Absolutely.
And I think people, and myself included, are able. We're so quick to jump to being frustrated by blank. Or, you can let somebody cutting you off in the middle of the highway completely take you out of this otherwise perfectly good day. And I have this line that says, separate the action with the activity, or the emotion with the activity. And if you can separate the emotion that just drove you and why with the activity of, like, we're just driving and we're fine. Like, don't be annoyed. It's no big deal. And I try to be present of that in my own self. And then also, if I'm in a negotiation, I can separate those two things because I have made it my priority in my own self. So I can separate the emotion and the activity. And then I can, to use Tony Robbins' language, I can look into those conversations better because I took the time to be aware of myself And I'm grateful for that opportunity. I'm grateful to be in front of you to buy your house or, whatever that is, and appreciate every single one of those things.
It's being completely present. Yeah, that's really presence on another level of really understanding who you are first, and then why you have the ability to serve someone and help them. Being grateful and thankful. Well, if that's kind of the product, that's the vehicle. That's what you that's what your prize is. Then what gets you up in the morning? What if you had to summarize it? Why do you do what you do? What makes you get up in the morning when you put your feet to the ground and you're excited? What is that why do you do what you do?
There's a couple parts of that question. So it's my kids and an opportunity to put them in a position. I don't want them to be, spoiled, but I want them to have every experience in life and opportunity, whether that's traveling or trying new food or having a dance class or jiu-jitsu class for my son or whatever that might be. So
how do you not spoil them and give them all the opportunities?
Oh man, that is a tough one. We talk about it. I really try to open, even with my 6-year-old or my 3-year-old, and we say, hey, listen, this is special. We're going out to dinner tonight, which for you feels like a normal night, but for some people, this is not normal. They don't get to go ever,
I love that, man. Yeah.
And let's take the moment to say, thank you for this meal. Thank you for this opportunity. And so, for me, when I think about it, I think about within my business. So I have certain goals to hit. I have certain income goals as well. I want to have a farm and a beach house in my Kansas City house. So those get me fired up. I want to have opportunity with my wife to travel, and we homeschool for that reason too. So we could literally pick up and go wherever for whenever. That's awesome. And then lastly, I have early on in my church life and experience with God was doing a lot of mission stuff, and my heart's in that. And I love to go. I love to put my money where my mouth is. And so we've been able to see this increase in our income. And so, I want to take those times. I want to be able to help not only support other people's mission stuff, but I also want to find ways to create my own and help have an impact in that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's good, man. So good. So how can we serve you, Nathan? What can we do to help you? What do you want to accomplish right now? What's a way we can get in touch with you? What do you need right now? Help us. How can we serve you?
Well, I appreciate you asking that question, and appreciate again having this time with you too. And for us, so bridgeturnkey.com is our website. And so we have, typically we sell the houses before they hit the website. So, if you're looking for houses, then you can just contact us through that link is there, and we'll have a sales call and that kind of stuff. And we really try to get to know the clients. We don't just want a bunch of people. We want to have the right clients who, it's a great fit, win-win for everybody. And then secondly, really just people interested in turnkey real estate or in funding deals. That's really what we're looking at right now. As we grow, we have a lot of opportunity to help people build wealth and freedom through real estate, which is what our mission is as a company at Bridge. And so we want to help those clients do that, whether that's, funding deals through their IRAs or buying turnkey houses. So that's it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So I really appreciate you, acknowledge you for taking the time to be on here, sharing some of the things that are really deep, and also things that are some of your success principles that have helped you get to where you are today. And I know some people that are listening right now, it may have been one or two things you said that you didn't think was such a big deal that may have really unlocked something for them. So appreciate you doing that. I also want to just encourage you that how cool is it to be able to have all this freedom, homeschool your kids, have this life that so many people would just really die for. And yet you're still you're still really present at the moment, that you're really grateful for that, and realize that that's a gift. And just want to encourage you, man, that, you know, as you continue to be more successful, I know you even get more successful, that you stay humble. And, you know, because it's one of the coolest things, I think, about your personality, man, is that you have this cool intensity, you know, but yet you're really chill, and you seem like you've got things kind of on this even keel. So I know I learned a lot from you and just in this short time. I'm going to put everything in the show notes, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in San Diego if you're going to show up. Man,
I'll be there, and I'll look forward to seeing you as well, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to be there the whole week. So whether or not we're in that same group 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, then I'll still see you.
Sweet. I'll look forward to it.
All right, Nathan. Make sure you're on the next Real Estate Investing Profit Masters podcast series, and we'll bring on another incredible guest. So thank you again, Nathan. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Corey. Take care.
All right. Remember, be a servant. Bye now. Hi, this is Corey Boatwright, and I have a quick question for you. What is the fastest way to reach your goals? Is it to work harder, work smarter, use system and processes, or hire rock star employees? What about just making more money? You know, actually, it's none of that. Those things are a byproduct of the one success component that every real estate investor or business owner that I know all have in common. And the answer is clarity. Complete laser focus on what you want, why you want it, and what are you willing to do to get it. So where do you find clarity? By hiring a coach and mentor. Now, could you reach the level of success that you want to achieve by doing this all on your own? You know, the Lone Ranger. Well, maybe, but do you think it would take you double or even triple the time to achieve it compared to hiring a coach and mentor to help guide your path, provide proven instruction with a tailored blueprint that you could follow for building a real estate business that supports your lifestyle and helps you reach your financial and personal goals? Absolutely. Here's the fact. Time isn't recyclable. So I would like to ask you to make good use of it and extend a personal invitation for you to book a phone coaching strategy session by going to callwithcorey.com. That's callwithcorey, Corey spelled CORY.com. I'm going to ask you a few quick questions on that page, and we're going to go over and see how we can make sure that your business is on path to reach the goals that you want this year. So go to callwithcorey.com, that's CORY, and book your phone coaching strategy session today. Remember, be a servant, and I'll see you on there.
You've been listening to another Real Estate Investing Profits Master Podcast Series. To receive your free real estate book, Down and Dirty, Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide, how to quit your job to start flipping houses in 90 days or less, head online and go to realestateinvestingprofits.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Estate Investing Profits. Thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.